Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 151. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Small business owner, law professor, author, foreclosure mediator, attorney Augusta Massey practices in the area of business law, individual bankruptcies, and contracts. Welcome, attorney Augusta.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richards. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know what? I have given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your business?
Thank you so much. So my name is Augusta Massey. I run my own law practice out in fabulous Las Vegas, as I love to say. I wear many different hats and recently became an appointed pro tem judge in small claims court. I am also the president of the National Bar Association, the Las Vegas chapter. I teach at the College of Southern Nevada. I teach international business law. And I run my own website where I share a lot of tips and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, consultants, online coaches, and that's called mylegalbestfriend.com. It has links to forms that every online coach, entrepreneur, business owner needs. It includes my 2 books that I have written and my online business course for newbie entrepreneurs.
Attorney Augusta, share with us the titles of your books and where they can reach, how they can obtain copies of the books, and also share about your course.
Okay, so the first book I wrote, I was actually pregnant with my second son, and it was a book on how to run a successful law firm. And the title of that book is called Lawyer Up. It's for budding lawyers who are starting up their own firm, how to be profitable from get-go. You can find that book on Amazon. My second book was in answer to that. A lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and clients kept saying, hey, you are discriminating against me here. This is just for lawyers. What about us? And so that second book is called Boss Up, How to Be the CEO of Your Own Business. And it can also be found on Amazon.com, or you can go to my website at www.mylegalbestfriend.com to find books. And then my course, my online business course, is called The Legal Advantage. So for a lot of people, they want to start their business. You get all kinds of advice from everybody, business owners. What I do is always give you that legal edge, that extra that you need to know from the legal perspective. And so the Legal Advantage talks about the who, what, when, where, how to actually run a profitable business and the legal aspect of your business that you should pay close attention to. You can also find that at www.mylegalbestfriend.com.
Attorney Augusta, you started out sharing your background and everything that you're doing, and you're a mompreneur, pro tem judge, teaching, professor, all of that, running a successful law firm. How do you keep it all together?
Not to get religious on you, but honestly, I feel it's the grace of God. I have been blessed, gifted, and given good support system around me, from my husband to children who are well behaved. I mean, let's face it, you can do as much as you can as a parent. Children have a mind of their own, but I have been blessed with 2 kids who are cooperative, a husband who is super supportive, great staff, great friends, people who inspire me, people like you who inspire me, Dr. Richards, with the work that you do. And so just my environment, I take time to really be intentional about filling it with positivity and being in intentional spaces that allow me to thrive and do what I do. Now, I know what I do is not for everybody, Some people don't like to be all over the place. I enjoy people. I enjoy the businesses I do. I follow my passion. And that has made for a really interesting and fulfilled life.
And let's just say you can get religious on the show. I allow, yes, I want to say ditto. As a believer, as a Christian, I know that I remember telling this story. I was on a podcast, asked to be on a podcast as a guest, and they were asking me what book I was reading. And I said the Bible, and they edited that out. And what I like about being a host, I like my guests to be authentically who they are. So I want you to feel free to share authentically Attorney Augustus Massey, without unapologetically. You don't have to. Of course, we like to keep it clean because we do state that this is a very clean podcast. But beyond that, we like you to say what's on your mind. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
What problem exists in the world today that you would like to solve?
I think for me, the problem that exists is I feel there are a lot of people who have businesses inside of them, people who have, solutions to problems that other people have in society, people who are really community minded and want to move humanity forward. What they don't have, though, is a roadmap, a blueprint, the know-how, the support, the mentorship to be able to birth whatever that idea is. And so to me, that is a problem that I want to solve. And when I think about products, from my books to my courses to the things that I do, I'm always looking to see how I can help such people, how I can help people who have ideas, solutions, inventions, thought leadership inside of them, bring it out, bring it to the marketplace, make profit from it, solve humanity's problems, and still make an income to support their lifestyle. That's what gets me going. That's what I thrive on. And that's why I design the courses, the books, the information, the webinars, all of that around that is to solve that problem.
And I have to tell you that being a person that have been on this entrepreneurial journey have the opportunity to interview thousands and thousands of successful entrepreneurs and those that are sharing their story, you are definitely on the right track. And I have to speak from the other side of the track. I have been there, and I just had that conversation this week about finding valuable information. We are in a time in our history where we are inundated with information.
Yes.
Back in the day, you just couldn't find the name of a CEO, so we are overloaded with information. But how do you vet that information? And I was having that conversation about, I can't tell you how much money that I've invested, how many courses, and not getting valuable information. But of course, you don't know that it's not valuable until you've gone through it, because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so someone could be selling you some information and it's not even valid as of today, because I can tell you, starting on this journey 7 years ago, how you started internet business 7 years ago is totally different. Some of the concepts would be the same, but a lot of the informations and strategies, they have changed. You don't know that. You may be purchasing a course that is no longer relevant because we're so used to evergreen courses, or what happened back in the day when you would go to college and the professor would teach the same thing each and every semester 10 years later. That is not apropos in 2019 moving into 2020.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the beautiful thing about the entrepreneur journey that I have come to realize is that you will find out a lot about yourself as you go through the journey. It's not just about building a business and building it and making it successful, which is why a lot of things I talk about have to also do with your mindset, self-discovery, and knowing who you are. Because what works for you might not work for somebody else, right? And what might not be valuable to you may be valuable to somebody else. So it's knowing who you are, where you are in the journey, and then how do you vet the information? How do you know that what I'm hearing is applicable to me now? So there's a lot that you go through, but regardless, what I love about this is nothing is wasted, nothing is lost. I really believe that. And as a believer, I always say everything is working out for my good.
Mhm.
Everything is working out for my good. I may not see it right away. The money that I have spent so much money on courses, on people, on investments, on group programs, and one-on-one coaching, and all the other stuff. And like you, some were total, just not valuable at all. But having gone through that though, now I know that when I build my courses or when I build my information, that I am trying to give the utmost value to the best of my ability. And so that training, that loss, so to speak, that failure wasn't a failure. It worked out for my good to help me know what not to do to other people if I have a chance to help them.
I love that. I love how you did the spin on that. That was absolutely perfect because you are so right. And I always say that you can learn from everyone, even a drunk, if you don't learn anything but what not to do. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that information, how we can turn what we thought was not valuable into value, where you see what not to do when you move forward in your business. And I like something else that you said, Attorney Augusta, is when you talked about as an entrepreneur that it's about the mindset and it is building your character and it is showing what you're made of, and it takes you through a process. It's almost like what I'm hearing, it's almost like people should go through becoming an entrepreneur even if that's not what they want to do,
Yes.
just for the lessons learned, because it's such, it everything that you pinpointed, I can feel those emotions rising up. And so that was really, really wonderful how you reframe that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Richards.
What is some advice you wish you had followed?
Advice I wish I had followed was not from other people, but from myself. I'll tell the story. I tell people I don't have a lot of regrets in life. I only have one. I had a chance while I was in law school to work for a company that I've always wanted to work for. Finding this opportunity was like a needle in the haystack. It found me in a way in London. And I was living in Memphis. I was in London, got with some teachers, found this opportunity to work for Coca-Cola. And it was a company that I'd always wanted to work for, even while I was a little girl in Nigeria. And so here was my dream staring at me in my face. And people didn't even know how I got this opportunity. I can't even tell you how I got it. All I know is God always knows how to connect the dots. And so I got this opportunity, and I was supposed to start working in Atlanta at the headquarters. Then another opportunity came. I spoke at a ceremony. It was a barrister's ball for lawyers, and a law firm that had rejected me before, decided to now give me an offer, which coincided with the same time that I had to work at Coca-Cola. And with Coca-Cola, they were very clear, like, this is not a job that you're going to get an offer for at the end of your internship. It's just for the summer, da-da-da-da-da. And at that time, I didn't see it for the opportunity that it was, in the sense that I had always wanted to do intellectual property. I would be around attorneys who did that, working for a recognizable global brand, an international brand, and it was a fulfillment of a dream. But I decided to, take that saying that says, oh, a bird in hand is better than two in the bush, and go for this more sure thing. But one thing I know in life, and this really cemented it for me, is for me, not for other people, but for me, in a place that I have been rejected before, I never go back there again. And this was the lesson I learned from this. Because wherever I've been rejected before, when I've been rejected the first time, it doesn't ever really pan out. Even though, you get like a second chance or whatever, it never really, because there was something in the beginning that said no. And I've come to respect the no. No is not a bad word. No means next opportunity. No means go to the next level onwards. And so I didn't know this at that time. And I turned down Coca-Cola to go work for this law firm, which at the end of the day, I didn't get an offer, totally hated it, didn't enjoy my summer there. But that was a lesson that I needed to learn. It was the lesson of the no. It was the lesson of rejection. And after that, I never gave up on my dreams. Anything that I wanted to do, because that regret stayed with me for so long. I knew that I never wanted to have any regrets. I learned a lot of lessons from that incident and from that day forward. So if there was a lesson that I wish, or an advice I wish I wish I'd listened to my spirit. I wish I'd listened to myself to go for what I really wanted, and not trying to take this thing that was a sure thing, which ended up not even working out. If I were to give advice to anybody else out there, is to say this: listen to the counsel of others, but check in with yourself first. Your counsel should always override the counsel of others. Their information is to feed you, is to show you other perspectives, is to give you more information, is to give you more data. But at the end of the day, you are the boss, you are the CEO, and you are in the driver's seat of your life. You take it into consideration, but ultimately you make that decision.
Your confidence, your passion is so heightened. Talk to us, Attorney Augustus, about the influencers and the mentors and who instill that fire in you and the confidence and the motivation to just soar.
The first person I would say was my father. May he rest in peace. My father was killed in front of me when I was 13. But in the 13 years that I had with him, he was always teaching, he was always mentoring, and he lived a life of example. My dad lived a life of integrity. He lived a life for the people, in front of the people, but he was not trying to make a show for people. He was always being in his lane, working according to his purpose. And so he demonstrated very early for me at the formative years the power of knowing yourself, knowing your story, walking in integrity, and building your character. My dad was a constant personal developer of himself through books, seminars, information, getting additional degrees. He was always seeking to evolve himself and instilling in us whose and who we were. So he would always say, whose are you? Who are you? Do you know who you are? He was always asking that question. And so from an early age, knowing that I was part of a community, but at the same time, I belonged to something and someone, and I carried a name, and I carried a seed, and I had a purpose, and I had a destiny. He was very intentional even in the names he gave his children. Each person's name had something. My older sister's name means priceless. Another sister means industrious, may have noble. These are the meanings of their names. My name means majestic. And so we had a destiny, and we knew that from a young age, that everything around us was intentional, and that we had been given a gift, and that gift was not for ourselves only, but for those around us. And we were not allowed to squander it. And through demonstration, through information, and the environment he created. Environment matters so much. He created this environment around us. And then my mother, after his death, with 6 children, she went back to school at a point we're all in school. And she managed to make something out of herself and bring all of us to the United States single-handedly. My mom, till this day, works like crazy. I have never seen someone who works as much as she does. I got from her the entrepreneurial spirit. The businesswoman in me comes from her. The hard worker in me comes from her. Both parents always, always instilled in us by example and not by words. And so they're my biggest inspiration, dead or alive, and continue to inspire me to this day. If I can be half the people that my parents were, I consider myself a success.
Talk about self-care. What does that look like to you?
Self-care for me comes down to simply this: knowing where I'm at in my life and what I need for that moment, for that reason. So in the beginning, when you get started, people say self-care involves massages and, going to the spa and all. That's all great. That's all good. But for me, self-care has evolved from not just taking care of my physical body. It's intentionally creating spaces where I practice peace of mind. So regardless of what's going on around me, I take certain steps to make sure that I am always at peace with myself, and I'm always asking, Augusta, what do you need in this moment? If that means I need to travel, then I travel. If that means I need to take a break and go somewhere in the woods or in the quiet or by running water, I go there. If that means I take a mental break and I read something nonfiction, I do that. I always ask, what do you need in this moment, in this season? What do you need to feed your spirit, to refill your passion? And asking myself, are you still on purpose? Do you need to pivot? Are you still happy doing what you're doing? Because see, we all have the power to change. We'll all have the power to make choices. And every day we make a choice, even when you think you're not making a choice. So if you don't plan to succeed, you're planning to fail. So by doing nothing, you're ensuring your demise. And so I take self-care now as something where I check in with myself mentally, I check in with myself spiritually, I check in with myself physically, and I'm always asking, what do I need in this moment, in this season, to continue thriving, to continue staying on path, to continue being on purpose? So that is what self-care looks like to me.
Talk about maintaining a healthy lifestyle. What advice would you offer?
I say maintaining a healthy lifestyle is all about, think about a juggler walking a tightrope, trying to juggle some balls, and underneath is fire. That's how I look at maintaining self-care. Sometimes it really is a tightrope, but balance and knowing that you might not be able to do all things at all time, and you cannot be all things to all people all the time. And so for me, maintaining it, I just know that the landscape changes. Sometimes, it's this, sometimes the intensity is more on going to the gym. Sometimes it's more on eating right. Just whatever it is, I have come to be at peace and accept that it's not going to be the same all the time. But as long as it's not lopsided and I keep aiming for balance, then I'm okay. So I try to maintain that way.
Is there a social cause that's connected with your company or your brand?
Yes. So the social cause that I have, and there are very many, but the one I'll talk about is more for widows and children. My mom was a widow, so I have a special affinity and affection for widows and children who are orphans or dad is dead, because I've been there, done that, understand the struggle and the stress and the pain. So those are usually dear to my heart, and I support different various organizations through my business, through my personal funds, especially in my home country in Nigeria, where unfortunately we have some of the richest people and some of the poorest people. And it's, for me, it's ground zero. It's close to my heart. It's home. It's also, like I said, being there, going through the struggles, I kind of know what's going on. And so social causes for me, anything that has to do with widows, has to do with orphans, has to do with fatherless children, that's where I feel drawn to mostly and connected to.
From a legal perspective and being a legal expert, what is something we as consumers should know about your industry? And I know law is very vast.
Yes.
So however you would like to answer this, is there something that we should know that we don't know about your industry, or specifically any area that you're focusing on?
So for the legal industry, I think a lot of people, we approach it like it's a one size fit all, and it's not, right? We have lawyers who do different things, just like you have doctors who specialize in different areas. So what I would say for consumers, and that's what you're doing, you're consuming legal information, you're consuming legal advice, you're consuming legal expertise. So for consumers, I'll say, make sure that you treat it like anything else that you consume. When you go to the store to buy, you look at the expiration date, you look at the ingredients in the product, you ask questions. When you go to the doctor, you want to see a specialist for your back, you want to see a specialist for XYZ. So treat the legal industry the same way. Figure out what the lawyer's expertise is. Figure out, and there are many ways to do that now in the age of the internet and social media. You have Yelp, Facebook, all of this stuff. There are many ways for you to vet attorneys. And so know that each attorney is not the same. And then don't come to attorneys too with a television mindset, right? So a lot of us, there are so many legal shows, we watch all the shows, and we think that that's how law works. It doesn't work that way. And so leaving that at the door, knowing that what you see on TV is for entertainment, and that the legal industry is different from that. There's some similarities, but mostly different. Leaving that at the door and coming in with a mindset that you need help, you want an expert who can solve your problems. I think all legal consumers should know this.
What is the biggest achievement so far in your business?
My biggest achievement, I would say, is the number of clients I have been able to help, because each client that I've been able to help, I have touched a family, I've touched a generation, I have been able to elevate them to a different level. Now, when I do my work for business formation, business startup, business consulting, that is taking a family business owner through entrepreneurship and helping them get to a place where they're sustaining themselves, their families, and being productive citizens in the community. So every person that I've been able to help through that, or litigation, being able to save money or settle cases that should be settled or win cases that should be won and right some wrongs, justice, and being able to save clients money along the way. That to me is my biggest achievement. My clients and the work I've been able to do for them, with them, have been my biggest achievement in law.
And what would you say, Attorney Augustus, has been the biggest challenge of being an entrepreneur?
The biggest challenge I would have to say is getting my ego out of the way, to be able to allow others assist me in doing my work. That was a big challenge in the beginning. Not so much. Now I'm a better delegator. I'm a better, manager. But in the beginning, I had this ego, right? That only I could do what I did, that I am the best, and I am the best. But there are people who come into our lives to help us, getting out of my own way to accept the help that I was given, hiring the right staff, the right members of my team. That was a challenge in the beginning, but now much better.
What is a technology tool or technology platform that is a must-have for you in managing your business day to day?
For me, I love that you can download almost anything on your phone, right? There's an app for everything. One app that I think a lot of people don't hear about or don't use a lot is called TaskRabbit. And I heard this from a friend and mentor, Crystal Washington. TaskRabbit allows you to delegate tasks for, laundry, blah, 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 all this other extra stuff. It helps to take care of the day-to-day stuff. Another app that I cannot live without on my phone is my Kindle, because I love to read, and especially if I have a downtime. It's just something about reading. It takes you to a different place. I love words, of course, and I love, good writing. So Kindle is something else. And then the last one I will say is my Outlook. It allows me to be productive on the go because I can check my mail, I can look at my calendar, I can schedule things. So those three apps I would say will be my top apps that I need for running my business and running my life.
And what are you reading now and
Okay,
why?
so no, not a problem. So I don't know if other people do this, so hopefully they'll write back and let you know. I read multiple books at once because there's always something, I wear so many hats. It's just the way my brain works, is the way I'm wired. So I'm reading multiple books right now. The one book that I'm reading that I'm almost done with is Malcolm Gladwell. He's the author of Outliers. I've read this book before. I read it every so often, every so many years, because I like his theory about outliers and what really makes an outlier. So I'm reading that. Also, recently, I have gotten a lot of books. I do a lot of book exchanges, author exchanges with others. I'm reading a book it's a Nigerian author, Damilola, and he wrote the book Elevate Your Game. So I'm reading his book. I'm also reading another book by Henry Ukazu, and he just mailed that to me recently from New York. And it's about knowing your path and finding your path and being successful. So I'm reading all three books. And of course, like you, I read the Bible because there's always something to be gained from the Word of God regarding your business, regarding your life. And even when you think you've read it before, there's always a new revelation. Like we were going through in a Bible study, Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God. And really what that means in today's world, with the internet, with the inundation of information, with so many things that we have to do, technology is here to help us, but at the same time, it has now increased more what we have to deal with every day. So how do you see God in everything and with everything that's going on? So great book, the Bible is, I believe it is. And then all those books that I'm reading, some are refreshers like Outliers, some are to help you, go to the next level, like Elevate Your Game, or just finding your path. And I'm always asking that question, like I said, am I on purpose? Am I on path? Am I doing what I was called and created and destined to do? And so all books, I'm reading all of them at the same time. And each one influences or shows me something else that I can do, work on, or be.
If someone wrote a book about you today, what is something that we don't know about you that we would find out in this autobiography?
If someone wrote a book about me, I think one thing they'll find out is, so like I mentioned earlier, right? I have so many causes. Widows and orphans are the first one. I also support youth homelessness. What they'll find out about me in the book is there was a time when I was homeless, when I had first come to the country and didn't really have anybody and gone struggling time in my life. There was a moment in there when I was homeless, but thank God for the grace of a good family, the Pollock family who took me in, another family who bought me my first pair of boots in the States, and just so many acts, random acts of kindness that have really shaped me to be who I am today. It's something that people will find out. And I see this a lot with people who are super successful. We always see the end product. We never hear about the process, or we never get to see the process. And so we celebrate them when they've come out at the end. But when you read about a lot of people's, autobiography, people who are successful, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, all these people, President Barack Obama, you find out that a lot of them had to overcome huge amount of adversity in their lives to get to where they were. And so reading my book, my autobiography, you will find out a lot about the lows, the low lows that I had to go through to get to where I am today.
Tell me, what have you not done in life that you dream about often?
For me, I am on a quest to go to every single of the 7 continents and to visit all 50 states in the United States of America. So right now I am down to 15 states. I am still trying to get through them. The problem is the states I haven't been, they're all cold. And I don't do cold well. So that's why I still have those states that I am willing to conquer it and go to Alaska. And then I have 3 continents that I haven't been, including Australia, South America, and Antarctica. So another cold place, which I haven't been yet. So I dream about, it has been on my bucket list for years. And I'm hoping 2020, I can hopefully strike it off my bucket list.
Absolutely. A question that a lot of our listeners want to know is about financing. Talk about, how did you finance your business?
So financing takes, different ways. I'll talk about how I finance my business, and I'll talk about how, and my story might be a story or a lesson in what not to do. But I'll also talk about what I share with my clients now. So when I started my business, I actually financed it myself from my savings. So I had a plan. I knew that I was going to, go out on my own, start my own business. I've seen my mom run her own business, not a law firm, but she had run a retail shop business for several years. And so I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I hired a coach, transition coach by the name of Katrina Wisdom. I kind of did my research, did all of that stuff, knew how much I needed to start, and started saving. So when I started my firm with my own money. My first year, I actually made profit. I was in the black. And I was really, really proud of that because that's what I set out to do. And not a lot, not a huge profit, but profit nonetheless. Now, when I speak to clients, depending on what they're trying to do, what kind of industry that they're going into, there are many ways to start your own business without having to use your own money. Good ways include loans. There are SBA loans. There are venture capitalist loans. So many, ways that you can get money that way using other people's money. There are grants, depending on if, let's say, you're starting a nonprofit or something that serves a marginalized community. There are many grants for that. So that's using, again, other people's money, but using the federal government's money. There are several different ways for you to jumpstart. You can go into partnerships so that now you split the cost, you split the risk. Several other ways that you can start without having to use your own money. So what I always say first is start with what's the end in mind? What are you trying to do? Do you have a plan to get there? Because when you're using other people's money or leveraging other people's money, they want it back, right? And there's sometimes interest and all of this stuff and that. So you don't go into using other people's money blind. Make sure you know what the end is in mind and reverse engineer from that. Figure out your industry, what is the best way or the best source of funding for what it is you're trying to achieve, and then go from there.
Attorney Augustus, we can learn from successful entrepreneurs or brands just like you. Tell us a brand or a business that is dominating that you admire and why.
Right now, I'll say a business that's really dominating is Amazon. Amazon is taking over not just the retail industry and the shipping industry. They're going now into food, right, and giving Walmart a run for their money. So Amazon to me is a business that started small, scaled without so much inventory, and I mean it's the largest retailer but has no stores really, and has been able to scale in such a way that it is ripe and apt for the age that we live in. But at the same time, with them going into, competing with Walmart, I see them evolving and looking to the future and figuring out where is the next market that they need to be in. So that is a company that I kind of watch closely, try to see what they're doing. I'm not going to be on Amazon. I don't want to be on Amazon. And that's where it comes knowing who you are, what kind of business you run, what you want to do. I don't want to be on Amazon, but there's always a lesson that we can learn from everybody and everything. The reason I feel that I've been able to get my business to be as successful as it is, as fast as it's been, is because I'm always thinking outside the box. I'm always taking strategies from other industries and seeing how they apply to mine. What works in another industry that will fit mine. I don't adopt everything and I don't try to replicate or be other people because that sets limitations on you. Rather, I adapt and figure out what works for me, my business, my industry, and then I adapt it to that.
I like that. What is one valuable lesson you wish you knew before starting your business?
One lesson I wish I knew in the beginning when I started, I didn't have the confidence I have now, right? I didn't also have the self-care techniques that I had now. So believe it or not, I crashed and burned. I burned really bad because I was trying to do everything and be everything to everybody. And I wasn't checking in with myself. I wasn't taking care of myself mentally, physically. I gained a lot of weight, all of that stuff because I didn't know and I didn't know better. It was my first really business venture and the learning curve was steep. So that's something that I wish I had known in the beginning, but I think I had to crash and burn so I could learn, so I could really understand the value of taking care of yourself. And so now I do not compromise. I do not compromise when I need to take a break, when I need to take a nap, when I need whatever it is that I need. I know the consequence of not doing it. And so, again, no lesson is ever lost. Everything works out for your good. Take it, understand, find the meaning, find the positive, find the silver lining in everything because there is. Those experiences in the beginning had made me a stronger leader, a better mother, a better business owner because I learned the hard way. Hopefully you don't have to learn the hard way. Some of us like school of hard knocks. I have since repented and changed my ways, but some people just have to go through it. I've learned now that I prefer to learn based on other people's lessons. Just like you use other people's money sometimes to start your business, it's so much better sometimes when you learn from other people's, mistakes and mishaps and failures, so that you don't have to, start from scratch, and you can go to the next level much sooner, much faster, based on lessons learned from others.
Give us 3 truths that you've learned in life or business so far.
1, if someone rejects you, don't go back there. It doesn't end well. I don't care what they say, how they say it. There's a reason that you got to know the first time. Take it to mean the next opportunity and keep on moving. 2nd, believe in yourself. Trust yourself. Know yourself. Trust your instinct. Become the expert on you. Who are you? What do you like? What don't you like? How do you become better? What foods make you feel bad? What foods make you feel best? Become the expert of you. You have to live with yourself. You have to live with your body. Get comfortable in it and start to treat yourself like the gold that you are. And then the last thing is self-care is paramount, it's non-negotiable. It is something that you do every single day. It is how you operate as a human being. It's like checking your oil or whatever kind of maintenance that you have to do. You change the oil in your car, right? The filter goes bad in your house, you change out the filter. It's the same thing with self-care. It's always changing. It's always checking in. Okay, maybe I need to throw away this old thinking. Maybe I need to imbibe new thinking. Maybe I need to read something else. Maybe I need to get away from this friend. Maybe I need to get into a new environment. Always, always, always make sure that self-care is paramount, it's top priority, and that you're doing it consistently and continuously.
What is a daily or a weekly habit that you are doing consistently that is giving you the greatest success?
I think for me, the greatest habit that I have is spending time. I call it intentional spaces, where I spend time making sure that I'm at intentional spaces. So other people can call it meditation or whatever it is to do. I don't really consider myself someone who meditates. I just get still and say, what do I need for right now? What do I need for this season? Am I at peace with myself? A man who's not at peace with himself can't do much in the world. And so I always try to make sure on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day, that I am checking in constantly with myself. Another thing I like to do, I like to read the Bible because it calms me. I like to read the Bible because I get daily inspiration from it. I like to read the Bible because to me, that's me spending time with the one who created me, who has my plan. And another thing I'll say that I'm trying to do better off right now is resting and sleeping more. That's about, oh yeah, you sleep when you're dead. Now I'm understanding the power of sleep, the importance of sleep, and so trying to incorporate more of that into my life. Those are the 3 things I'll say I do now on a consistent basis. And I'm always, always, always feeding my mind, feeding my spirit, because I feel like what you feed your mind, what you feed your brain, it's even more important than what you feed your body, because out of the heart, the mouth speaks. But what gets into the heart comes from the mind and what your thoughts are, right? And so what you feed it and how you train that and train your thought and train the language that goes on in your head really determines the course of your life and what you manifest on a daily. So all those are things that I try to do on a consistent daily basis so that I can be who I am and be successful at what I'm called to do.
And Attorney Augustus, you said a mouthful there. A lot of profound wisdom was coming from you, especially when you talked about the peace. My mom is 91 years old. Individuals, they've heard me make reference to my mom. She's still, by the grace of God, is still living and operating independently. But one of the things that she said is about peace. When you have peace, like you really can't buy peace.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be in a space where it is very peaceful, that is like, it's priceless. So you are so right about that. And then another value bomb you dropped about sleep. And I think that we live in constant chaos now in our lives. Things were a lot simpler back in the day. I think we underestimate sleep.
Yes.
And sleep is so powerful, just like you said, in so many ways when you're talking about if you're struggling with losing weight, your sleep and not getting adequate sleep impacts weight gain and stress. And that's a whole show on sleep.
Yes.
Yeah, that was very profound. The question I want to ask you is, Attorney Augustus, is if you conducted this interview, what is the one question that you would ask yourself? I'd like you to ask the question and to answer it.
I don't know if there's any. I think you've done a fabulous job, to be honest. I don't know if there's any one thing that I would ask myself. Like, you have asked it all. You've done a fabulous job. I can't think of any right now.
Thank you. And that was not a paid commercial by Attorney Augusta. Thank you. We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to answer the questions. And if it's something that you desire to say pass, feel free to pass. And these are just very quick answers. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
I am.
The last movie you saw?
Ooh, I saw The Addams Family.
You relax doing what?
Reading.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Still Lauryn Hill.
Your favorite dance song?
Oh, anything with Afro beats. Right now, I'm really feeling Hello by Kes.
The food you eat every week, no matter what?
Eggs.
Your favorite month?
Oh, I have 3. Sorry. I have May because it's my birth month, December because it's Christmas, and September and November. So it's kind of like 4 right now. September and November because it's my children's birthdays and my husband's birthday.
Okay, Attorney Augustus, we're going to have to give you the whole year, right?
Give it a whole year. I'll take it.
I love it. Hit the gym or hit the couch?
The couch. Come on, the couch.
You know what? Before we conclude, why don't you share with our audience the way that they can reach you if they're like, I just love Attorney Augustus and I'd like to do business with her. Please give us all your social media handles and the way that our audience can do business with you.
Yeah. So how can your viewers reach me? LinkedIn is a great place. I'm usually active on LinkedIn, and it's just Augusta Massey Esquire, ESQ. Just type Augusta Massey, I'll pop up. You can always add me on Facebook, same thing, Augusta Massey. And then you can always reach me through my website, www.mylegalbestfriend.com. Again, that is www.mylegalbestfriend.com.
That's a wrap.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richards. This was a great, inspiring, and very provocative interview. And thank you so much for allowing me to share with you and with your audience.
You're the best. Take care, and we'll chat soon.
All right.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.